Have you ever noticed that a man who loves cats is just different? Not in a weird way, in a really, really good way. There's something about the way he sits quietly with his cat on his lap.
The way he talks to her like she understands every word. The way his whole face changes when she walks into the room. And honestly, most people don't notice it, but cat lovers do. Because here's what science and psychology are starting to figure out. Men who genuinely love cats aren't just pet owners. They carry something rare inside them, something most people spend their whole lives searching for in other people. And today, we're going to talk about exactly that. We're going to break down 7 rare traits that men who love cats almost always have. And if you're a woman watching this, you might want to pay very close attention. Because some of these traits, they're the ones most people wish they could find in a partner. And if you're a man who loves cats, stick around, because what I'm about to share might help you understand yourself in a way you never expected. Let's get into it. Okay, before we dive in, let me just say something real quick. There's this old stereotype, you've heard it, the idea that men who love cats are somehow less masculine, that it's a women's thing, that a real man should have a dog. I want you to just throw that out the window right now, because the research tells a completely different story.
Studies on personality and pet preference have found that men who are drawn to cats tend to score higher in openness, emotional intelligence, and sensitivity, not lower. And those aren't weaknesses. Those are some of the rarest, most valuable qualities a human being can have. So if you've ever felt weird about being a guy who adores his cat, don't. Science is on your side. Now, let's talk about these 7 traits. And I promise, by the time we get to number 7, something is going to click for you in a big way.
Trait number 1, he is comfortable with silence. Think about what a cat actually is. A cat doesn't fill every quiet moment with noise. She doesn't need the TV on in the background. She doesn't need constant conversation. She's just present, calm, comfortable in her own skin. And men who love cats, they tend to be the same way. You know the type. He's the guy at the party who isn't trying to dominate every conversation. He's the guy who can sit with you for an hour without saying a word. And somehow, it doesn't feel awkward. It feels like peace. This is actually really rare. Most people are terrified of silence. We fill it with noise because silence forces us to sit with ourselves. And a lot of people aren't comfortable doing that. But a man who has spent years living with a cat, he's learned the language of stillness. He knows how to just be. No performance, no noise, no need to prove anything. His cat taught him that. Because here's the thing. Cats don't respond to noise. They respond to calm. If you've ever tried to get a scared cat to come to you by being loud and excited, you know exactly how well that works. It doesn't. You have to slow down. Breathe. Get quiet. Make yourself small and non-threatening. And after years of doing that, that quality becomes part of who you are. There's actually a term in psychology called tolerance for ambiguity. It's the ability to sit in uncertain, unresolved situations without freaking out. Men who are comfortable with silence usually score really high in this, and that makes them incredibly steady partners, incredible friends, the kind of person people feel genuinely safe around.
All because they learned to get quiet from a cat.
Trait number 2, he respects boundaries, even when it's inconvenient for him. Here's something every cat owner knows. You cannot force a cat to do anything. You can't pick her up if she doesn't want to be picked up. You can't pet her if she's done being petted. You can't make her come to you. You can't rush her trust. You can't demand her affection. If you try, she leaves, or she swats you, and you've lost her trust for the rest of the day. So you learn. You watch for the signs. You pay attention to what she's telling you, and you respect it, even when you really, really want to just scoop her up and cuddle her. That training, that's one of the most important social skills a person can develop. Men who love cats have been practicing boundary respect, not in theory, but in real life, every single day for years. And it shows. These are the men who ask before they hug someone, who check in instead of assuming, who notice when a person needs space and actually give it to them without making it a big, dramatic thing.
They don't take it personally when someone pulls back, because they've had to learn that lesson 1,000 times with their cat, and they've learned that pulling back doesn't mean rejection. It means, I need a moment, and that's okay. In relationships, this is gold, because one of the most common complaints people have about their partners is that they don't respect boundaries. They push, they pressure, they make you feel guilty for having needs. A man who has spent years honoring his cat's needs almost never does that. He's already been trained by the best boundary enforcer on the planet.
Trait number 3. He has real emotional intelligence. This one runs deep. Emotional intelligence is basically your ability to understand and respond to emotions, both your own and other people's. And it's one of the most sought-after traits in any relationship, professional or personal. Now here's the interesting part. Cats don't communicate the way dogs do.
A dog will tell you when he's happy, loudly, with his whole body. He'll jump and bark and wag his tail so hard it's basically a propeller. Cats are different. Cats have this incredibly subtle emotional language. A slow blink means I love you and I feel safe with you. A tail that's fluffed up means I'm scared and overwhelmed. Flattened ears mean I'm not okay right now. Needing means I'm deeply content. A belly exposed is trust, but it doesn't always mean touch me. And if you don't know the difference, you're going to get scratched. Men who love cats learn to read these signals. They have to, because their cat is constantly communicating, just not out loud. And here's what's wild. That practice, that habit of watching carefully, of reading body language, of picking up on subtle emotional cues, it transfers directly to how they interact with people.
Men who are fluent in cat behavior tend to be incredibly perceptive with people, too.
They notice when someone's smile doesn't quite reach their eyes. They pick up on the shift in energy when something's wrong, even when nothing has been said. They read the room in a way that feels almost like a superpower, and they tend to respond with compassion instead of judgment, because they've learned from their cats that strange behavior usually comes from stress, fear, or pain, not from malice. That's a huge perspective shift. Trait number 4. He is genuinely patient. Real patience. Not the I'm gritting my teeth and waiting kind. The real, deep, quiet kind. Building trust with a cat takes time, and there's no shortcut. Maybe you've seen a video of a feral cat being slowly won over day after day. Someone sits near the cat, doesn't make direct eye contact, puts food down and backs away, lets the cat control every interaction. And it takes weeks, sometimes months. That's not a special situation. That's just cats. Even a domestic cat, when she comes to a new home, needs time. She hides. She watches. She comes out only when she feels safe. And if you push her before she's ready, you lose her trust, and you start over. Men who understand this have made peace with the fact that good things take time. They don't rush. They don't pressure. They don't get frustrated when progress is slow. And that patience shows up everywhere in their lives. In their careers, they understand that mastery takes time. In their friendships, they give people room to open up at their own pace. In relationships, they don't rush intimacy. They build it, layer by layer, slowly. There's this concept in psychology called delayed gratification. It's the ability to wait for a better long-term reward instead of grabbing the quick, easy thing right now. And men who have practiced patience, really practiced it, with their cats, tend to be exceptional at this. This makes them incredibly reliable, stable, trustworthy. They're the ones who actually fight.
Trait number 5. He is not afraid of being soft. And I mean that in the best possible way. There is something so quietly powerful about watching a big, strong man gently pick up a tiny kitten and press his nose to the top of her head. Or seeing a guy baby talk to his cat with absolute zero embarrassment. Or watching someone who seems tough and stoic completely melt the second his cat jumps up next to him. That softness is not weakness. That softness is emotional courage. Here's the truth. A lot of men are taught from the time they're boys to hide the soft parts of themselves, to be tough, to not cry, to not be too sensitive, to bury anything that feels vulnerable. And what happens is, those men end up disconnected from other people, from themselves, from the parts of life that actually make it beautiful. Men who love cats, they've let themselves love something small and fragile. They've let themselves be needed by something that has no real power over anything. They've said, I love this little creature, and I don't care who knows it. That takes strength, real strength. And the softness they show their cats usually extends to the people they love too. These are the men who will sit with you when you're crying and not try to fix it, who will tell you they're proud of you without any awkwardness, who will show up not because they have to, but because they want to, because they've already practiced being present and tender with a cat who expected nothing less. Trait number 6. He is independent and respects independence in others. This one is big, and it's often overlooked. Cats are independent. That's not a flaw. It's a feature. Your cat doesn't need you to entertain her every moment. She doesn't fall apart when you leave the room. She has her own thing going on, her own schedule, her own thoughts, or whatever passes for thoughts inside that mysterious cat brain of hers. And men who genuinely love cats understand this. They don't see a cat's independence as rejection. They don't take it personally when she wants to be alone. They admire it. They respect it. And crucially, they tend to have that same quality themselves. Men who love cats tend to be comfortable being alone. They have their own interests, their own inner world, their own sense of self. They don't need to be entertained constantly. They don't need someone else to make them feel complete. And because they have that in themselves, they give it to the people around them too. They don't cling, they don't smother, they don't need to know where you are every second of the day. They trust the people they love to have their own lives, because they have one too. In psychology, this maps onto what's called a secure attachment style. People with secure attachment can love deeply without becoming possessive. They feel safe in relationships, even when they're not in constant contact with their partner. And that security is incredibly attractive because it creates a relationship dynamic where both people feel free, not trapped, where love feels like a choice, not a chain. A man who has learned to love a creature that comes and goes on its own terms, he's learned something a lot of people never figure out. Trait number 7, and this is the big one. He knows how to earn trust, and he takes it seriously. I want you to think about something. When a cat, especially a rescue cat, or a shy cat, or a cat with a hard history, finally chooses you, it means something. It's not automatic. It's not given. She can't be bought with treats alone. I mean, treats help, but they're not the whole story. Trust has to be built slowly, carefully, consistently. And the moment she finally sits in your lap, the moment she blinks at you slowly for the first time, the moment she shows you her belly,
Not just flops near you, but actually shows you that she trusts you enough to be vulnerable, that moment is sacred. Men who love cats know that feeling, and they never forget it, because it teaches them something profound about trust in general. That trust is not a thing you take, it's a thing you're given, and it can only be given freely by someone who believes you're safe. That lesson reshapes how these men move through the world. They understand that the people in their lives, the ones who love them, who open up to them, who let them in, those people are giving them something priceless. Something that wasn't owed, something that could have gone to anyone, but came to them. And they don't take that lightly. Men who love cats tend to be deeply loyal, not in a controlling way, but in a "I will not betray the trust you placed in me" way. They feel the weight of it. They honor it. Whether it's a friendship, a romantic relationship, or a work relationship, when someone trusts a man who loves cats, they're usually in very good hands. Because he already knows what it took to earn that trust. He already knows what it means when it's given. So, there you have it. 7 rare traits of men who love cats. Comfortable with silence, respectful of boundaries, emotionally intelligent, genuinely patient, not afraid to be soft, independent but not distant, and someone who earns and keeps trust like it's the most important thing in the world. Now, I want to hear from you. If you're a woman watching this, did any of these remind you of someone? A partner, a brother, a friend? And if you're a man who loves cats, which of these traits felt most like you? Or maybe one of them surprised you? Drop it in the comments. Seriously, I read every single one, and I love hearing your stories.
And if you have a cat in your life, give them an extra slow blink right now, from me, because they're doing more for you than you probably realize.
If this video resonated with you, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more cat lovers who need to hear this. Subscribe if you want more content like this, because we go deep into cat psychology and behavior every single week. And I'll see you in the next one.